This is why we have said, Bill O'Reilly, for a while, that Ocasio-Cortez is a dream come true for the conservatives. She is so dumb. She has released her new Green Deal, and she, without seeing it, Kamala Harris, Elizabeth Warren, Cory Booker, they all signed on. And then it comes out, and she says, we're going to, in the next 10 years, we have to abolish 99% of all cars, get rid of all oil, natural gas, and nuclear energy. Plus, we're going to tear down or gut every structure in America and then rebuild it with new green materials. And then also, we're just going to have to abolish all airplanes.
Well, what's wrong with that?
Nothing. Nothing if you're a moral person. Nothing.
Okay. So I write in my message of the day on BillO'Reilly.com that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is really Katy Perry. Okay? She's doing this for one reason, and that's to become a star. She's already addicted to the fame and the spotlight that the media is giving her. All right? And you know how seductive that is. Once you get in and adulation and constantly in the media, on television, and you're 29 years old, you can get addicted. So that's where she is. So it's not like she's going to Harvard, sitting down with the people at the Kennedy School and developing some kind of cogent plan to make the planet more prosperous in the future. That's not what's happening. Okay? What's happening is she's got a couple of people around her saying, oh, let's do this, let's do that. And the press, of course, is enabling all this. So rather than scrutinizing it, they're enabling it. This is great. Look at her. Look at her hair. Look what she's wearing. Okay. So I don't take any of this seriously. Yesterday she came out and wants to abolish ICE. You know, not a dime more for ICE. Okay, so fine. Look, this is, to me, comic relief. All right? This is what this is. I get a kick out of it. It's not real. You say that Harris and all these people have signed on. Nancy Pelosi has been grossly disrespectful to Congresswoman Cortez. She won't put her on any committees that are worth anything. If you ask her about it, she gives you the little Pelosi smile and the eye roll. So the structure of the Democratic Party knows this is comic relief. And if it got any traction, it would hurt the Democratic Party. So that's what's going on.
I think they're just letting her, selfishly, I think they're just letting her implode. I was at the State of the Union. I was in Speaker Pelosi's office, unannounced, and unbeknownst to them that I was coming in.
Did you just break into the office? Or?
No, just walked in.
Walked in. Hi, I'm Glenn. And,
no, I walked in. I walked in with a congressman, Congressman Thomas Massey, and he said, these people are so clueless, they'll think that I'm a freshman Democrat that they've never seen before. So come on, let's just go in. So we went in, and Ocasio-Cortez and Nancy Pelosi were side by side, thick as thieves, glad handing people. It was an obscene scene, but I think she's keeping her close and letting her have her way and having her day in the sunlight, knowing that she's going to implode.
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree with that. Did Pelosi have any idea who you were?
No, I'm gonna tweet a picture.
So she didn't know, because I asked that question because I ran into Pelosi at the White House. She never would come on my show. And I said, oh, Congresswoman, so nice to see you, Bill O'Reilly, and I'd love to have you on my program sometime. And she said, oh, I'd love to do that. Had no blanking clue who I was.
No.
Her husband standing next to her, his knees buckled. I thought he was going to collapse. All right?
Yeah.
But she had no idea. So then the next day we called up Pelosi's office and said, okay, when's the congresswoman coming on? And then she issued a statement saying, oh, that was a social event. I really, I don't really have time. So I sent Waters out to ambush her and say, hey, you said you were going to come on Bill's show, and now you're not. Are you afraid? That kind of thing. So she is absolutely clueless. She doesn't really have any frame of reference outside party politics.
Yes, and I think even on that, she's, her dentures are starting to float a bit, Yeah,
she had trouble at the State of the Union. I thought first that she was chewing tobacco.
No? Her dentures are floating.
Oh,
that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I said, where's the cup? I hope she got a cup. She don't want to spit it on Pence.
Bill, have you actually sat in the gallery for the State of the Union?
I have not. I couldn't take it.
I know. I thought so too. It was the most fascinating thing I've ever done. I was sitting at the 50-yard line watching it, and I was sitting behind, and I could see what everybody was doing with their hands. And I could see all the Congress people tweeting each other or texting each other, checking their Facebook, reading porn. It was crazy to watch that thing and what the camera does not pick up. And
Were you wearing white, Beck?
I was wearing white. Yeah, I was sitting next to Ocasio-Cortez.
I thought I got a glimpse of you.
Yeah. I look like the Michelin Man or Marshmallow Man. The Ocasio-Cortez, she was holding court and so arrogant, and the people around her were so arrogant, and they were looking at each other, sneering, they were hissing. It was amazing to see this arrogance.
Right. Well, I think you're absolutely right. I think that she's going to blow. Something will happen. But in the meantime, is she not the most entertaining congressperson on Capitol Hill?
Oh, yeah. I'm gaining years of my life back.
Yeah. I mean, this is if I were Disney, I'd be giving her her own show, whatever you want.
Oh, yeah. No, she's a cartoon. She's great. So what do you think, before we get into the abortion thing that happened this weekend and the reaction of Congress to the State of the Union, what do you think the fallout here is on Ocasio-Cortez and this new Green Deal? Is it just going to disappear?
I don't think Americans are paying attention to it. Here's what Americans are paying attention to. Number one, the economy. All right, because the stock market, every day you don't know what the deuce is going on there. Okay, and people are a little concerned, but things are going all right now, and they're hoping that'll continue. Number two, the border. The border is, I can't tell you how big the border is.
Yeah,
it's
I agree.
Huge.
Huge.
The people, and the polls do not reflect the level of concern that most Americans have for this. And the drama between Trump, who may declare a national emergency, and I believe he will, and Pelosi, because it's personal now. It's who's going to win this. That is the big story. Ocasio-Cortez, this is a media-driven story. If you were to go out in the Mall of Americas tonight and say, "Oh, can you tell me one thing in the green thing?" Everybody will look at you going, "Oh, what? What green? Green? What?" They don't know.
Well, that is again a testament of the media. If anyone would have come up with something this literally ridiculous, not extreme, this is ridiculous. If anyone on the right would have done anything this ridiculous, they would have. I mean, they would have a whole primetime special on Saturday Night Live about it, and the press is just going to move past. Don't look there.
Yeah, they're never going to bring scrutiny to the far left progressive positions on anything. They're never challenged. I mean, the governor of Virginia said, look, hey, we'll kind of birth the baby, then we'll put it on a little table and make it comfortable, and then we'll discuss whether we should cut its throat or not. And did the press scrutinize that?
No.
Did they say, gee, O'Reilly just wrote Killing the SS, and in that book is Hitler's T4 program, which is exactly the same thing.
No, it's not. Don't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't. Hitler required 3 signatures from 3 doctors. We are only requiring 1.
300,000 babies at least were executed after birth.
Yep.
German babies.
Yep.
All right.
And the people of Germany stood up against it. It's crazy. Where are we?
All the press had to do was ask one simple question. What's the difference between the governor of Virginia's vision and old Adolf's vision? What's the difference?
There isn't one.
There isn't any.
There isn't.
But they would never do that.
Okay, Bill O'Reilly. We're gonna continue with him here in just a second. Bill O'Reilly. You can find him at BillO'Reilly.com. Here is No Spin Zone, his podcast, also his old shows. Also, you watch what he was doing before. Just now, he's completely unrestrained. BillO'Reilly.com. Welcome back to Bill O'Reilly on the Glenn Beck program. Bill, I know you were on our Blaze Live coverage of the State of the Union, and Bowling told me later that you had a disagreement with him. He said it's time for the president to really just go charging like a bull, and you said no. I am clearly on your side. He needs to just keep going with his agenda and moving forward. But if this is what you're saying, I agree. He needs to now be presidential, be above it all, and outline a very positive vision. He needs to get his likability numbers up. And he did. I thought he gave the perfect speech without saying we're going to go to the moon and giving us a grand vision like Kennedy did. I think he gave the best speech he has given, and exactly the right speech to try to bring the middle back in to him and away from the crazies on the left.
Well, he's 8 points away from re-election, if you believe the polls, and all the polls pretty much say the same thing. So he needs to persuade 8% of the electorate to support him, and that's certainly doable, particularly if the Democrats run crazy people against him, but I don't think they will. I think it's going to be Biden and Kamala Harris, unless there are scandals or black faces or whatever. You never know these days what's coming out. Anyway, the speech was well crafted. They made a couple of mistakes when he said countless numbers of Americans have been murdered by illegal aliens. That's certainly not true. The count is there. Once you start to generalize or over-exaggerate a problem, then that gives the opposition, look at he's lying again or he's doing this again or that. You got to be very tight and disciplined. I talked to him about the State of the Union when I was on Air Force One. When anybody of any party asks me my opinion, and I have no animus toward the person, I respectfully give it. And I talked to the speechwriters and him, and I basically said, look, facts will win out. And you've got the facts on your side at this juncture in history. So the facts are going your way as far as the State of the Union is concerned. Mm-hmm. The other side doesn't have any facts. All they want to do is undermine and hate you. So capitalize on that. Mm-hmm. So I thought the speech was good, but he continues to be obsessed with Mueller. And
he's got to forget
you're ever going to get him not to be obsessed, and that's a weak point.
Yeah, it is. It's what they're counting on.
All the reporting says that Mueller doesn't have anything that's going to mean that it's meaningful in the election. That's what all the reporting, all the leaks are. He just doesn't have it. So let it play out. Don't be obsessed. Today he's obsessed with Trump. Today he's tweeting again about it.
Nobody cares about Mueller. Nobody cares except the swamp.
Point.
Right.
They may care if he issues something that nobody knows about that's horrendous.
Correct.
But at this point, everybody's tired. It's boring.
Correct.
It's old.
And if they're doing investigation after investigation because Mueller didn't have anything, that will play poorly for the Democrats if he stays above it. But if he gets into it, people are just going to be afraid. They're just going to be like, I don't want any of this anymore. Let's just change. And they'll change to whomever if the president is bogged down in this street fight with a bunch of people that nobody really cares about.
And that's the key. So the Trump administration and his reelection people have to zero in on what the voters care about. All right? And at this point, Russian collusion is the only people who care about it are the hate Trump media.
Yes.
That's all. But it's hard. You know, Donald Trump is a man who does not want to be criticized. I mean, one of the things that I've learned
you're in the
about
wrong
him
business.
is that even if the criticism is valid, even if it's constructive, he don't want to hear it. And he reacts very, very emotionally to criticism.
Well, I thought I thought in being in the chamber, because I heard the things that you never hear on television or see on television. I saw the absolute disregard and disdain for the president from especially the Progressive Caucus. It was beyond anything I imagined was happening, and I knew things were bad, but it was just out of control. And honestly, I have more respect sitting in the room with him, watching the State of the Union and watching how many of the Democrats were treating him. I have more respect for him on how restrained he actually is, because they are not restrained, because they never get called out on it. Nobody knows what they're doing when the camera is off, and I saw it. It was obscene.
But you've lived it.
I
so
know.
Have I.
I know.
There are people who want to destroy you and destroy me, and if we die in the process, they're happy.
Yes.
But as far as Trump is concerned, this is now a lifestyle. It's not a political position any longer. It's a lifestyle. So if you work for the New York Times or the Washington Post or CNN, NBC News, your lifestyle, the people you socialize with, your hobbies, what you do in your leisure time is all centered around hating the President of the United States. It sounds ridiculous, but it's absolutely true. They're obsessed with this. It's like cocaine for them. We have to hate him today. We have to. And if we don't hate him today, we're going to start to shake, and our stomach will hurt. It's a lifestyle. So it's a caricature, and that's what Trump should do. Now, I tried to explain that, but I don't think I got through.
Yeah.
I said, mock them. It's now to the point where it's insane, and regular folks know. Make fun of it. All right? But he doesn't. He tweets seriously about it. And I'm going, well, this is not effective.
No,
Your people aren't buying it. And the rest of the people are ignoring it.
When he was in the State of the Union and he said after the happy birthday, believe me, they would have never done that for me. That was Reagan. That's how Reagan won.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Just roll your eyes and say, oh,
there they go again.
Is. And he can do that.
Mm-hmm.
He's talented enough to do that. But he just gets crazed when people attack him, and particularly unfairly. I mean, he gets. That's why I couldn't focus him on my questions, because he was waiting to see what report was going to come out that smashed him. That's what he was interested in.
And did you talk to him about stop watching it?
No, I don't lecture presidents of the United States.
No,
that's not what I do.
No, I know, but you said you were suggesting things to him because he
asked me. Mm-hmm. All right, I didn't give him the analysis I just gave you. That to me would have been way out of line. He asked me a question, I answer the question. But I'm giving you a broad analysis of the fact that he is going to be in for a very tough reelection campaign.
Yes, he is.
All right? It's going to be very close, and every dirty, filthy trick is going to be used by both sides. All right? This is nasty beyond belief what's coming down the pike.
Do you see what happened?
Okay?
Do you see what happened with Jeff Bezos and the National Enquirer?
Yeah.
Any comments on that?
That's just salacious. That doesn't have any political meaning to the country, even though Bezos owns the Washington Post and is gleeful about attacking President Trump. So, a lot of people say, okay, it's another karma play. To me, it's another tabloid story. It doesn't affect anybody's life one way or the other. If you don't know what the National Enquirer is by now, you're never going to know. So, yeah, all right. I don't even read the story. I read the headline. I go, okay, so what?
Well, I thought it was interesting that Bezos decided to find out.
Get out in front, put it out.
Yeah, and he put out this
right.
Really, it's extortion. And he said, I'm gonna release it all. I'm not going to be held for blackmail. He had hired Gavin DeBecker, who are the greatest security people, I think, in the world, and said, unlimited budget, go find out what what's really happening.
I still don't know who leaked all this stuff. That's the only interesting part to me. So you got this billionaire who's got security all over the place, and somebody gets into his machine. Okay, how did that happen? I'm blaming it on Putin. I think Putin did it. All right, I'm blaming it. It's collusion. Amazon colluding with Putin, and I'm accusing Putin outright of doing it.
But Amazon would do that to their own owner, which is really, I think that's what threw me off the trail. Bill, I'm glad to see that Amazon is working with Putin to get Bezos, which is weird. And it's not what they would expect you to think. All right. Bill, last thing. The abortion law in Louisiana. Supreme Court blocked this from taking in effect, and it was John Roberts.
Yeah. You got to be real smart in how you word these laws that are trying to contain abortion. John Roberts, certainly not a conservative man. He's trying to be Kennedy. I think that's his role model. Mm-hmm. But I think ultimately, if the states word the laws in a very constitutional way, they'll win. And they'll be able to regulate what happens within the state borders. But it's got to be methodical, because these people in the Supreme Court, they're not sympathetic to the pro-life movement, most of them.
Are they?
Scalia was, but I'm not sure about this crew.
Are the Democratic voters in the middle of the country going to wake up in time to be able to see who has hijacked their country and their party?
I believe so.
I think so, too.
And I think that would be very wise for the Trump campaign to concentrate on, to take out a lot of ads. I'll tell you one thing, and this is, I shouldn't say it, but I will. I don't think I'm violating Donald Trump's confidence by doing it, because I've said it publicly before. So we're talking about Nancy Pelosi, the president and your humble correspondent. And he does not like her. Now, it's not at the level of Chuck Schumer. He hates Schumer. Okay? And did you notice Schumer looked like a frog?
Oh, yeah. It was bad.
He looks like a frog. He's just kind of this constricted thing. But anyway, so we're talking about Nancy Pelosi, and, he's asking me about basically what her mindset is. And I said, look, she is a party apparatchik. That's her whole life. She doesn't know anything else. I can walk in a room. She doesn't know who I am. Glenn Beck can walk in a room. She won't know who he is. She doesn't know. She just doesn't know. And I said, but if you really want to know the effectiveness of Nancy Pelosi, your campaign, send a camera crew to her district in San Francisco. All right? Shoot the hundreds of people on the streets injecting narcotics, going to the bathroom in public, screaming at the cameraman obscenities, all right, frightening children trying to walk home from school. Just shoot it. And then run a 30-second spot where you say, this is Nancy Pelosi's district in California. And don't say anything else. Just let the pictures run. Might put a little music under them, all right? And then at the end, repeat, this is Nancy Pelosi's district in California. That's it.
Very effective. I think it would be very effective. Bill O'Reilly from BillO'Reilly.com. Thank you so much for being on the program. We'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
You bet. Bye-bye.